Welcome to my channel.
And this is English Podcast Station.
If you want to improve your English language skills, you're in the right place. This video will help you learn English through an interesting and emotional story. You will hear real American English used in everyday situations. To learn from this video, here's what you can do. Listen carefully to how the words are spoken. Try to copy the English sounds and rhythm. Pause and repeat sentences out loud. This will help your English speaking improve. If you hear a new word or phrase, write it down. Learn how it's used in the story. You can turn on the subtitles if you need help understanding the language. After watching, try to tell the story in your own English words. This is a great way to practice. Remember, stories are a fun and natural way to learn the English language. You hear the words, understand the meaning, and remember them better. Now let's begin our story. A story about city versus village. A shy boy during a storm. Ryan was a 13-year-old boy who had always lived in the city. He wasn't like other kids who played soccer in the park or talked loudly in the school cafeteria. Ryan was quiet, shy, and thoughtful. He loved reading books, drawing, and watching the rain fall outside his apartment window. The city was loud, fast, and always busy, but to Ryan it felt lonely. His parents were worried. They wanted him to experience more of life, to meet new people, and maybe become more confident. So, one summer, they decided to send him to visit his grandparents who lived in a small village far from the city. Ryan didn't say much about it. Inside, he felt nervous. The idea of leaving the city, the place he knew, made him uncomfortable. But he didn't want to argue. On the day of his journey, the sky was cloudy. The roads were wet from the morning rain, and the car windows fogged up with each breath. Ryan sat in the back seat, holding his backpack tightly. As the tall city buildings faded behind them, Ryan looked out the window and saw green fields, rivers, and small houses. It was all so different. After hours on the road, the car finally stopped in front of a little brick house with a red tin roof and flowers growing around the gate. An old man and woman stood outside, smiling. They were Ryan's grandparents. "Ryan, welcome." "My boy," his grandfather said with open arms. His grandmother hugged him gently and kissed his forehead. "We're so happy you're here." Ryan nodded shyly and followed them inside. The house smelled like fresh bread and warm spices. Everything was simple but clean. A wooden clock ticked on the wall. A cat slept on the sofa. His room was small but cozy. A bed, a desk, and a window looking out to a big mango tree. Birds chirped in the distance. Ryan sat by the window, watching them fly. It was quiet, so quiet compared to the city, and he didn't know yet if he liked it. That evening they had dinner together. Fresh rice, vegetables, fish curry, and lentil soup. His grandmother smiled as she placed the dishes on the table. "Eat well, Ryan. Village food is simple but full of love." Ryan took small bites and nodded politely. The food was different but tasted good. He listened to his grandparents talk about village life, about the crops, the river, the neighbors, but Ryan said very little. He wasn't sure what to say. The next morning, the rooster crowed early. Ryan woke up to the sound of birds and the smell of tea boiling in the kitchen. His grandfather took him outside and showed him the garden. "This is where we grow our food," he explained. "Tomatoes, eggplants, beans. You'll help me plant some seeds today." Ryan followed him quietly. The earth was soft under his shoes. He touched the soil, planted seeds, and watered the plants. His grandfather smiled. "Good job, Ryan. The plants will grow just like you, slowly but surely." Each day Ryan learned something new: how to carry water in a clay pot, how to ride a bicycle on a dirt road, how to feed the chickens. His grandmother taught him how to make roti and cut vegetables. Bit by bit, Ryan felt calmer, though still very shy. One afternoon, while he sat under the mango tree reading a book, a boy about his age came running up to the fence. "Hey, I'm Rafi. I live next door," the boy said with a friendly grin. "Want to play football by the pond?" Ryan looked up, surprised. He hesitated. "No, thank you," he said quietly. Rafi shrugged. "Okay, maybe next time," and ran off to join the others. Ryan watched them from a distance. He wanted to go, but his fear held him back. What if they laughed at him? What if he said something wrong? That night, while Ryan was reading in bed, he heard thunder. A storm was coming. The wind howled through the trees, and rain began to fall hard on the tin roof. The lights flickered, then went out. The whole house was dark. His grandmother lit a candle. "Don't worry, Ryan," she said kindly. "Storms come and go. Just stay close." Ryan nodded, but his heart beat fast. He had never heard such loud thunder. Suddenly, there was a knock at the door. It was Rafi, soaking wet, his clothes stuck to his skin. "There's a tree down near the pond," he shouted. "It fell on the footpath. My sister and I were walking home when it happened." Ryan's grandfather grabbed a flashlight. "We need to help them," he said. "I'll go with you," Ryan said suddenly, surprising even himself. His grandmother looked at him with wide eyes. "Are you sure?" Ryan nodded. "Yes, I want to help." They rushed out into the storm. The rain poured heavily as Ryan followed his grandfather and Rafi through the muddy path. Thunder crashed above them like drums in the sky. Lightning lit up the dark village, flashing shapes of trees and rooftops for just a second before disappearing again into the night. The flashlight in his grandfather's hand barely helped, but Ryan didn't stop. His shoes slipped in the mud, water soaked through his clothes, and wind slapped against his face, but he kept going. They reached the pond. A large tree had fallen across the path, its thick branches blocking the way. Rafi pointed to a small hut near the edge. "My sister Seema is inside. She's scared to come out." "I'll go," Ryan said quickly, before even thinking. His voice was shaky, but his eyes were steady. His grandfather looked at him with pride. "Be careful, Ryan." Ryan walked around the fallen tree, stepping over broken branches. Rain splashed against his face, but he wiped it away. He reached the hut and knocked on the door. "Seema, it's Ryan," he said gently. "I'm Rafi's friend. I'm here to help." For a moment there was silence. Then a small voice replied, "I'm scared." "I know," Ryan said. "But you're not alone. I'll walk with you. I have a flashlight and my grandfather is here too." The door opened slowly. A little girl, no older than 8, peeked out. Her eyes were full of tears, her dress soaked. Ryan reached out his hand. "Let's go." She nodded and grabbed his hand tightly. Together they walked back to the others, stepping carefully over the wet ground. When they arrived, Rafi hugged his sister tightly. "Thank you, Ryan," he said. "You're really brave." Ryan gave a small smile. For the first time in a long time, he didn't feel shy. He felt strong. Back at the house, Ryan's grandmother wrapped him in a dry blanket. She gave him hot tea and sat beside him, gently rubbing his wet hair with a towel. "You were amazing," she whispered. "I've never seen you so brave." "I didn't think. I just knew I had to help," Ryan said softly. That night, the storm raged on outside, but inside, Ryan felt warm and safe. Something had changed in him. He didn't just face the storm outside, he faced the storm inside himself. His fear, his shyness, his doubts, they had all been part of the storm, and he had walked through it. The next morning, the village was wet and quiet. The storm had passed, leaving behind broken branches, wet fields and fresh air. Ryan stepped outside. The sky was blue again. Rafi ran over, smiling. "Everyone's talking about how you helped last night. You're kind of a hero." Ryan laughed. It felt strange, but good to laugh with someone. "Come on," Rafi said. "We're building a new tree house by the pond. Want to help?" Ryan nodded. "Yes, I'd love to." From that day on, Ryan wasn't alone. He played with the village kids, helped in the garden, and joined his grandfather in fixing the fences broken by the storm. He still liked to read under the mango tree, but now he had friends who sometimes sat with him and listened to his stories. When it was time to go back to the city, Ryan felt something he didn't expect. He felt sad to leave. He hugged his grandparents tightly. "Thank you for everything," he said. "You've grown so much," his grandfather said. "You're not just brave, you're kind, helpful, and now confident." Rafi gave him a small gift, a wooden whistle. "Come back next summer, okay?" "I will," Ryan promised. As the car drove back to the city, Ryan looked out the window. The roads, the fields, and the little village houses passed by. He smiled. He wasn't the same shy boy who had arrived a few weeks ago. The storm had changed him.